You're probably used to this by now, but with my Payday 3 videos, I do like to spend some time talking about the things that maybe Starbreeze haven't given a lot of information on, or we don't know a lot about, and I want to offer some discussions and chats with you guys so that these videos don't just come across as me sharing possibilities and good things and bad things, but also serve as a forum for Starbreeze themselves so they can see what you guys think of certain things and hopefully make changes accordingly if there's a big glaring issue that they can work on. And there's one big thing I think left now, pretty much, that I haven't talked about, and so let's talk microtransactions, because it's something Payday 3 is not going to get until post-launch, and so when the game comes out at base, there's going to be no comment about it, no controversy about it, if it does end up being bad, because it's going to be focused on what's present in the game at launch. This is something that's happening later, and as of right now, it's a great big question mark. We don't know what's going to be added, how it's going to be added, so I want to offer some possibilities that I think they could do, some that I think are good and bad, and also ask you guys to tell me in the comment section below what you think would be a good and bad way of implementing a microtransaction system. Because for me personally, one of my big issues going into this and what worries me is that most video games in modern days right now either go the DLC route or the microtransaction route. They pick one or the other. If you go DLC, the content you release post-launch, for the most part usually, is put behind a price tag. It also makes people feel a bit more confident that the developers have put a lot of time into it, because it means that they're charging for it and they want to earn the money that is associated with that work going into the DLC. It's how Payday 2 worked for literally 10 years. On the other side of the coin, you've got games that have microtransactions. Everything you get added to the game, all new content, whether it be levels, characters, whatever it may be, depending on the game, is free, but then there's a microtransaction system where maybe skins you pay for or different customization options, things like that, and that's where you make your money. So it depends very much on how the game works, but it's usually one of those two things. Of course, then on the other side of the coin, when you've got a microtransaction system, people sometimes worry, are the devs putting as much love into the levels as they would do if they were charging for them, because they know they're getting money anyway on the microtransaction system. So you've got a bit of a battle there. It's been a debate for a long time, but very few games have chosen to go for both, which is why I'm a little bit concerned, I should say, that Payday 3 is doing that. So what I want to do is talk about how I think it could be done in a very inoffensive way so that it doesn't just make Payday 3 look like an overly bloated, monetized game. Because what we've got is a fantastic heisting game. It's the best Payday game by a long shot from just what I've played, and that's only a tiny piece, and I just don't want microtransactions to ruin it. I don't want it to be a Crimefest 2015 situation all over again. And for the record, I don't think it will be. I really seriously do have faith in Starbreeze that they're not going to screw this up again. I just worry that it might be a little bit too much for some people to be even a little bit of a fan of. So let's talk about it. Let's see what they could do. Let's talk about some theories that I've had personally as to how microtransactions could be handled in the game. As of right now, the only things we've seen / know are the Payday credit leaks that happened just before the game was officially revealed. So there was a listing on the Steam store page that said, here's an option to buy some Payday credits. The prices attached to them were not accurate because I think it was like 50 coins was $1 and then 20 was like $1.50 or something. They're just placeholder things. But we know there's going to be something called Payday credits. So Payday 3's version of V-Bucks, Fold coins, or whatever other games currencies are. I don't remember. There's lots of names for them, alright? Don't blame me. I asked Almir about it in our interview and he shared that they were going to make sure they weren't going to mess things up again like they did with Crimefest 2015, but again reiterated that we won't know more about it until the game has come out. So it's going to be at some point post-launch. My guess would be before the end of the year, but it could be afterwards. Who knows? Depends on how long they want to wait to add the system. For me personally, I think back to Call of Duty Black Ops 3, because when that game came out, we'd already started to have the microtransactions in Advanced Warfare where the supply drop system had kicked in and you could buy supply drops. Black Ops 3 had about a month post-launch where there were no COD points, no purchasable options in there. You could just earn supply drops from playing. Then they added the COD point system in and it all went on from there. And back then, Call of Duty was doing what Payday 3 is doing now, DLC and microtransactions, but over the course of the next few years, it then shifted from one to the other, as they tried to emulate Fortnite a little bit more and add free content, constantly keeping things updated, but making everything in the operator store and all that stuff more of the paid content, so that's what you actually spend your money on. It's very easily what Payday 3 could do. You could have the game out for a month and then put microtransactions in, who knows, but that's what we know so far, basically. We know it's coming post-launch, we just don't know when. So I've written down 3 possible options that I think personally would be ways they could implement microtransactions, for better or for worse. The first one is cosmetics. This is the thing that I want them to go for the most if they're going to charge for anything as a microtransaction in Payday 3. Whether it be a suit, whether it be a pair of gloves, whether it be a mask, you could put those behind microtransactions and say, you can buy this mask for 200 Payday credits, you can buy this suit for 500 Payday credits, whatever it may be. Locking things like that behind a price tag is not nearly as bad because they don't have any impact on gameplay. They don't change how you play the game, they don't change how anything works for you on your screen, because when you're playing Payday, it's in first person. The only way to see the outfit is putting a camera on the wall and then looking at yourself, which is a lot of effort to check out your own outfit for me personally. The main thing you'll see is in the main menu and in the lobby, and that's it realistically. So that I don't think is as bad. Of course, they could add a really good suit that you go, oh, I wish this was free, and you have that debate till the cows come home, but we had tailor packs in Payday 2 that made people feel like that, and they went down fairly well, and we're going to have them again in Payday 3, which is also a really interesting thing because some suits are going to be in their own tailor pack DLCs, and maybe that means some will also be microtransactions, and the issue I have then is how much is going to be free. That's my main concern. It's my main thought. And again, I want all your thoughts on everything. Whenever I ask a question that seems directed at you guys, answer it in the comments if you want to, please, because I do want to know what you guys think. For me, though, I'm happy with suits being locked behind Payday credits as long as it's not the majority. Because obviously, the more DLCs and more updates you get for a game, the more things there are that are going to be DLC. And the balance between free and paid content is going to become more and more skew as time passes. Payday 2 is a perfect example of that. The longer the game went on, especially in the revival era, the balance went from, there's more DLC than free content, but then it was more, and a lot is behind a price tag now. I don't want Payday 3 to feel like that, especially not at launch. Over time, if it happens, so be it. It's the nature of these things sometimes, but I want to know at launch that most of the things we can get are going to be free, and that when the microtransaction store drops, there isn't like twice as much stuff in there than there is in the base game. That's my concern. That's the only real issue I have with cosmetics. Beyond that, I don't really care too much if that's all they do. There is also a little amendment I'd add to that, because if you've got these customization options, one option they could do that I think could maybe be interesting and some people may like and may not like, is they could do operator-style bundles for Payday 3 like Call of Duty have done, where you get a particular pack and it comes with a suit, maybe a weapon skin, something like that, and you get it to customize a particular character. I don't mean necessarily tied to Hoxton, because that would be a bit rough, because if you can't play as Hoxton the heist, you don't get what you paid for, but some kind of suit where it's like, this character gets an outfit, a gun skin, whatever it may be, and you're a bit more customized. That would be an interesting way to bundle things, maybe reduce the price if you buy it as a group, and probably a bit less of a problem, because at least in Payday 3, you wouldn't have the problem that, say, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 has right now, where you can buy skins that just turn operators into rats or cats. If you find those things cool, fair enough, but I think it's the stupidest thing and one of the most hideous things that's happened to Call of Duty. I mean, I don't know what's happened to that game. It's become such a mess, and I used to be such a big COD fan, and it's such a shame. But I think with Payday 3, you're offered that fortunate position where you won't always be the character that you want to be. And because of that, things will apply to characters as a whole, and you can create suits that will feel very lore-friendly, and also not like you have to immediately jump for them behind a price tag if they are just cosmetic. So that's my overall first idea, the thing I'd be happiest with. The second thing is more specific customization options. Now, Payday 2 tried this in the start of the revival era, and it did not go down well, and you can tell it didn't go down well because they moved on from it and never talked about it again in terms of DLC. Weapon colours. For me personally, I always found the DLC particularly inoffensive. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. It was just, oh, you can put a few colours on guns for a couple of dollars, whatever. And I wonder if possibly they'll do something like Fall Guys does, where you can buy particular colours or patterns for your bean. Is that what they call them in Fall Guys? I don't even know anymore. In there, you can get a lot of them with the free kudos credits, so that's better. But you might not have that in Payday 3. It could be some things can be bought with C-stacks and some things can be bought with Payday credits. That'd be great, but we'll soon see. But I'd be hesitant with this because personally, I don't want them to add too much of the customization options behind a price tag, because if you're already putting cosmetics behind a price tag, you don't want to also have to pay more to make it look cooler via the colours and patterns. That stuff I feel should just be in the game at base. And in the beta, all the colours that I could possibly think of were just behind price tags you could buy, which is great. So I think it's more likely that maybe certain patterns could be, if you want like a particular tile grid pattern or some like animal patterns, things like that could be behind price tags maybe. That would be not ideal, but I'd be alright with it. You know, I wouldn't mind it too much, but I just think that having the customization options be behind a paywall is maybe not quite as good. So that's my second option. That's the thing that I'm not as sure about. But the third thing that I'm worried about, and this is the one that I think will get the most negative reaction from people, I personally still don't know how to feel about it, and I do still want people's opinions on this. I have asked about them once before, but this is a very specific video, so I want very specific opinions. It's about guns. In Payday 3's Dev Diary number 3, I believe it was, talking about combat, a discussion was had as to how gun progression worked. You would level up a gun, unlock attachments, and then be able to customize with the attachments you've unlocked. But you could also get weapon presets, like the one we had in the beta, which allowed you to have a suppressed SMG for 100 C-stacks that came with a bunch of attachments pre-added to the gun. I can't be the only person looking at them and thinking, microtransactions, they're going to make weapon presets microtransactions. Is that just me? Because I really think that's something they're probably considering, and it does worry me a little bit. Now, is it pay to win? Not necessarily. I think in this case it's more of pay to skip the grind, because depending on how long it takes to level up your gun fully, it may take a while to get to the gun that you want to unlock specific attachments. Allowing you to pay for some of these presets via microtransactions allows people who may be busy with their day-to-day lives to skip the grind without having to spend 10 hours leveling it up. It probably wouldn't be 10 hours, but you get the point. On that side of the coin, I do like that. I think that's a useful thing for people who can't play the game as much as the nerds in their bedrooms like me. It does make sense. However, once you open a door, it's very hard to close it. And what I fear is that once they start putting these presets behind pay tags, and if they sell well, what happens if all of them start to be behind that? What happens if a vast majority of them start to be behind that? And then you don't get that preset customization if you're someone who doesn't want to spend any money on the game post-launch, bar DLCs, or any at all, really. That then puts you at a disadvantage in terms of how much you can do with your weapon presets, and that would suck. I'd really hate that. For me personally, I know I'm going to level up every gun. I know I'm going to unlock all of them, so I probably wouldn't be buying many presets anyway, unless there was like a particularly cool appearance to it that I might like. I don't know. But I am just intrigued a little bit about how that would work, and also what you guys would think, because I just don't really know how I feel about specific weapon presets locked behind Payday credits. I think it's entirely feasible, but I don't know whether it'd sit well with people. So please do let me know in the comment section below, once again, what do you think of that one? Because that one, I think, is likely maybe one of the more controversial ones. I think, personally, if I was to ask people which ones they prefer the most and least, I think cosmetics will come out as the most preferred and weapon presets the least. I think what I might do is do a poll on YouTube and ask you guys and get your opinions once this video goes out. Keep an eye out, I might do a poll like that very soon, but I will be very intrigued to see what you guys think of that. I really, really will be, because maybe you guys will really like it, and maybe you guys really, really won't. We'll just find out. I'm really not too sure, but it will be an interesting time. But there you go. I just wanted to discuss a few possible options that I personally saw about how these could work in Payday 3, how microtransactions could be coordinated, how they could be carried out, and I want to know what you guys think, because the advantage with this is, with it being added post-launch, what Starbreeze are doing with it is probably not set in stone right now, and they probably are trying to be very careful, so again, they don't repeat Crimefest 2015. While we know microtransactions are coming, and while we may not like them being in the game as well as DLC, I know I personally am not a massive fan of that, there is still very much time to make sure that what they add is very user-friendly and it can be easily ignored if you don't like the system. If you have other ideas as to how they could be made, let me know in the comment section down below as well, because it's more than likely there's other options I just haven't thought about, but I really want to know what you all think on this. It's a very speculation-y video. It's definitely addressed to Starbreeze for them to watch, look at the comments, see what people think, and use it to gauge what they're going to do in the game. But I'm intrigued. While, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of the system being added, I definitely think there's ways you can make sure that it's not going to be an annoying one, so we'll just see what happens. But either way, that's going to be the video for today. Thank you all very much for watching. If you have enjoyed it, please drop a thumbs up. I'd greatly appreciate it. And click that subscribe button if you're new to stay in touch with all future Payday 3 content. But until the next video, I will see you all very, very soon. Thank you very much for watching. Look after yourselves, stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next one.